Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy's Ted.
And join us as we go on an adventure through the tales of the Yawning Portal. Jump down in the description below where you can find Nerdarchy, the newsletter, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy. Also, while you're down there, if it's been released to Amazon yet, you can also find a link to the product in the description as well.
Might be a while. Tales from the Yawning Portal. This is, you know, we're recording this on the day that it was released on Watts.
The day after.
Day after? Okay.
So, essentially, we had released a kind of a video talking about what we think, you know, kind of reflecting on 2016 Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and then looking forward at what we think might happen in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and some ideas kicked out, and, you know, we had Scott on there, and he said some outlandish shit like he always does. It's good times.
Love you, Scott.
But, you know, that very day, I had shared on the Facebook page for Nerdarchy that, you know, Watts had just released that they're going to be putting out this hardback book, and it's more adventures, but it's different than any of the other ones in the sense that they're standalone adventures like they used to release all the time, where currently they're basically campaign arcs.
Right. Now, to me, the one-shots is a lot more exciting and, in a way, more useful than the campaign books. I don't know how you feel about that.
I wouldn't say they're more useful. I would say they're more versatile.
Okay.
In the sense that, you know, once you start a camp, you know, one of these big campaign arcs, you want to take it from begin to end, and you're kind of locked in, you know. But if you start losing interest, or you want to do something else, there's always going to be this part of you that's like, well, I want to keep going with what we're doing and keep this thing going. Where you could run a standalone adventure and be done with it and go to something else. It just opens up more options for you. It's more flexibility. Also, like they even stated, the idea is, okay, well, maybe you're running these big campaign arcs and you need something to bridge from one to the other, or one to get you high enough before you can start the other one. This is the product that's going to help do that for you. One of the great factors that goes along with these modules is many of them are from previous editions.
Actually, I believe all of them are from previous editions. I actually went and looked all over the internet to grab different bits of information. I mean, some of them date back into the late 70s.
Yeah, from 1st edition to 3rd edition, pretty much. Yeah, I don't know if I had seen something saying that they're going to put in like something newer, some new stuff or not, but they may all just be from previous editions, which is great. It kind of speaks to 5th edition. A lot of what 5th edition's kind of built upon is nostalgia, plus like the innovations that have come about over the years and some new stuff that they've added, just things they've learned from, you know, running games. This is going to be more of the same, more of that nostalgia, the classic adventures that we're used to, and they range in different levels.
They do. Now, I don't have any information on what Tales of the Yawning Portal will have for levels in the 5th edition market, but I did actually grab a bunch of the other stuff for what levels they were originally. Okay,
for anyone that hasn't checked it out yet, and you don't know, what are the different modules that will be included?
All right, there's going to be Against the Giants, which is an original adventure module written by Gary Gygax. Back in, it was originally in TSR 81, was declared very tough, and it suggested 9 characters of 9th level or better, each with relevant magic items in order to succeed.
Wow, I'm curious to see what they do with that.
So, yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think Against the Giants is one of the modules that have been remade too.
It was released in '86 in a super module under Queens of the Spider, and then again in May of 2006 under the 3rd edition, and then they even actually released a miniatures line to go along with that. And they had specific characters that I actually have here, for particular characters that were in those modules. I believe like King Snur and, you know, some of the other ones. They even actually in 2009 released it for 4th edition under the super adventure Revenge of the Giants.
Okay.
So next we have Dead and Thay, which they actually have a release for 5th edition under Dreams of the Red Wizards, and I believe that's only a digital download that you can get through, I believe either the DM's Guild or Drive-Thru RPG, but it was originally released as the module in AD&D in '89.
Okay. Some early Forgotten Realms.
So, absolutely. So, next we have Forge of Fury, which is actually a 3rd edition module, and that was written by Richard Baker, the cover art by Todd Lockwood, and the interior art by Dennis Kramer. Moving on, and I'm certain I'm going to butcher this one as I'm known to do, The Hidden Shrine of Tamachan, which was another one that was released in first edition. This was in the world of Greyhawk, and it was written by Harold Johnson and Jeff Leeson, and it was originally designed for levels 5 through 7. It was made available to the general public in 1980, and it received generally positive reviews from critics and ranked the 18th greatest D&D adventure of all time in Dragon Magazine 2004.
Interesting.
So that's pretty cool in my opinion. Next we have the Sunless Citadel, which was another 3rd edition release. This came out in 2000 and was written by Bruce Cordell, and it was designed for characters right off the bat, level 1. And then we go to the one that you actually had a chance to play, and that being Tome of Horrors.
Right. Well, backing up a little bit to Sunless Citadel, 2 things. One is Matt Click from A Fistful of Dice. He speaks very highly of that one. Now, if you guys know Nerdarchy, you know we don't really do very much with pre-written adventures. We generally homebrew a lot of stuff. If anything, we just like to steal things from them. I'm not familiar with most of these other than maybe like the name. And Sunless Citadel, the fact that it was originally written by Bruce Cordell leads me to believe maybe there might be some weird stuff going on in there, because him and Monty Cook were always the ones in the earlier editions of D&D that I attributed to writing the stuff that was more like Cthulhian or otherworldly and had strangeness to them. Not to be confused with The Strange, also written by Bruce Cordell and produced by Monty Cook Games. But that being said, I did actually play in the Tomb of Horrors in, I don't know if it was 1st edition or 2nd edition. I had an elven wizard character that put on a belt of masculinity, femininity, nice, and was turned into a female, and then later was killed and turned into, actually I think that same character, before that character died, was inflicted with lycanthropy. And then, and then technically died, but because of the lycanthropy lived, tore apart the goblins as a werewolf. Eventually got killed by an evil adventuring party, where my DM tricked me, and they actually.
Wait, so is this the story where you were injured and a party came upon you and they offered to heal your wounds?
Yes, we had just finished a very tough combat. And I don't remember. They may have even rescued us, and after the rescue, their cleric offered to give healing to my injured character. I was like, sure, I could use some healing, and he was like, okay, inflict serious wounds or whatever, and it just took me out. So after that, like the party escaped and drugged my corpse away, and we didn't have enough for Raise Dead or Resurrection. But we were able to get resurrected. I was able to get reincarnated somehow. So that character then came back as an Ogre Magi, female Ogre Magi.
Because the belt was still on.
Yeah, the belt was still on, or my DM wasn't going to allow me to get out of that. So came back as a female Ogre Magi. It is the only time that I gender swapped when playing a character. That character actually entered the Tomb of Horrors. And at one point, had his hand lopped off. Thankfully, he was an Ogre Magi, so he regenerated, and I was able to recover the limbs so I could stick it back on. And then there was, there's this famous statue, or I don't know if you call it a statue or sculpture or whatever, in Tomb of Horrors. It's the demon. It's the devil's face, a devil's face with a yawning mouth. And you could like do all kinds of stuff, put things in there, reach in there, and nothing would really happen. The stuff you put in there wasn't coming back, but you could reach in there, and nothing really bad would happen. It wasn't until you completely entered the mall that the bad stuff happened. Because that's when you realize there was plenty of room in the sphere of annihilation for your character. And that is how my Ogre Magi met his demise. And that is as far as I got in the Tomb of Horrors.
So, Tomb of Horrors was released, as I said, as an adventure module by Gary Gygax in '75 at Origins 1. It was included in the Realms of Horror, an abridged compilation produced in '87. It's come time and time again.
Every edition relaunches Tomb of Horrors. It's just, you know, the nostalgia. It's the one the old grognards like to talk about. And oddly enough, funny enough, is depending on the month it was released, I may not have been born yet, and Ted most certainly was not born yet.
Nope, Tomb of Horrors is older than I am.
So every edition we've gotten a Tomb of Horrors.
So you know, with this one, I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know whether, you know, I don't know who at Nerdarchy is going to run this, but we're definitely gonna check all of these out. And I don't know whether I want to run Tomb of Horrors and just totally just be a different style DM than what I'm used to.
No, the fan game, right? This is a meat grinder. This is meant to kill your players. So we play the fan game every month until they die, and then the DM marks off on the maps, whoever DM'd it, where the last fans died. So this way, when the new fans run through, they could come across the corpse of the new ones, of the old ones, the previous adventures.
Oh, that's awesome. So Tomb of Horrors is originally written for characters of level 10 through 14, and I find it so amusing that you can see the difference between anything written for second and before to third edition, that it's like, all right, you got a much bigger gap in first and second edition. With third edition, it's like, oh, this is an adventure for level 5 characters, or this is an adventure for level 7 characters.
Well, it just goes to show, like, the earlier versions of D&D were more art than science.
Right. We move on to White Plume Mountain, which this is another one that has a big following to it. Even if you don't do modules, you're familiar with this one. And this is one that goes back to 1979, written by Lawrence Schick, if that's the correct pronunciation. And that's another one that's come through numerous
different iterations.
Yeah,
like they're really smart. What they did is they came up with a list of all these modules that people and modules and adventures that gamers talk about. They still talk about them. And, you know, when this product comes out, we're going to be like, oh, I finally get to play that.
White Plume Mountain was originally written for characters 5th through 10th level. I want to look at, like, all right, can you make a character and go through a multitude of these things and see if you survive?
I think that's part of their intent as well, is to, like, have these adventures spanning different levels for your players.
As the name implies, you're against the giants. And
question. You got a lot of stuff around here, Ted. Do you happen to have a Ouija board? Perhaps on camera we can we can reach out to the beyond and talk to Mr. Gygax and find out.
I might have a Ouija board somewhere in the house, but not within easy reach.
Son of a.
So if you're looking to get Tales from the Yawning Portal, as I know I am, according to the article, which we'll try to remember to throw in the description down below, it's supposed to be released in your local gaming stores on March 24th, so not too long of a wait. And if you're not looking to get it from your flags, it should be available on April 4th.
Yeah, again, as soon as the link becomes available, we'll put it in the description below. Hopefully, I'm hoping to see if they do anything with a special edition cover. You know, if that was a Volo's guide, I guess it depends on how well it did. Or is it specific types of books that they might try and do that for?
I don't think this is one that's going to mark a special cover, but I could be wrong.
They could totally go 90s style comic books.
Oh, and do
a foil cover for each one of the adventures that are in there, or at least the very most popular. Like, probably you could pick at least 4 of them and go like, all right, that's the cover, or something crazy. I really don't think that's what they're going to do, but who knows? We'll find out. What do you think they're going to do? Let us know it in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can hang out with us over on Facebook.
So until next time,
stay nerdy. This is, we're recording this on the day that it was released on Watts.
The day after.
Day after? Okay.
So essentially we had released a kind of a video talking about what we think, you know, kind of reflecting on 2016 Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and then looking forward at what we think might happen in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and some ideas kicked out. And you know, we had Scott on there, and he said some outlandish shit like he always does. It's good times.
Love you, Scott.
But you know, that very day, I had shared on the Facebook page for Nerdarchy that, you know, Watts had just released that they're going to be putting out this hardback book, and it's more adventures, but it's different than any of the other ones in the sense that they're standalone adventures like they used to release all the time, where currently they're basically campaign arcs.
Right. Now, to me, the one-shots is a lot more exciting, and in a way...
Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And join us as we go on an adventure through the tales of the Yawning Portal. Jump down the description below where you can find Nerdarchy, the newsletter, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy. Also, while you're down there, if it's been released to Amazon yet, you can also find a link to the product in the description as well.
Might be a while. Tales from the Yawning Portal.
Adventure and be done with it and go to something else. It just opens up more options for you. It's more flexibility. Also, like they even stated, the idea is, okay, well, maybe you're running these big campaign arcs and you need something to bridge from one to the other, or one to get you high enough before you can start the other one. This is the product that's going to help do that for you. One of the great factors that goes along with these modules is many of them are from previous editions.
More useful than the campaign books. I don't know how you feel about that.
I wouldn't say they're more useful. I would say they're more versatile.
Okay.
In the sense that, you know, once you start a camp, you know, one of these big campaign arcs, you want to take it from begin to end, and you're kind of locked in, you know. But if you start losing interest, or you want to do something else, there's always going to be this part of you that's like, well, I want to keep going with what we're doing and keep this thing going, where you could run a standalone event